In today's Explainer, we're diving straight into a truly shocking incident that recently unfolded at Denver Airport. We usually think of air travel, especially the takeoff process, as this highly choreographed, perfectly secure routine, right? But what happens when an unimaginable variable just walks into the equation? Today, we're looking at a routine nighttime takeoff that turned into an absolute nightmare. It was a terrifying brush with disaster, and it's got aviation experts all over the world asking some really tough questions. Let's unpack exactly what happened here, step by step. A dark runway, a speeding plane, and a sudden collision. I want you to picture the scene. It's the middle of the night. You've got this massive commercial aircraft hurtling down the tarmac, engines absolutely roaring, hitting those critical speeds right before the wheels leave the ground. And then, out of the pitch-black darkness, an incredible, fatal interruption. It's exactly the kind of scenario pilots train for in simulators, but just pray they never actually encounter in the real world. Section 1. A terrifying night on the runway. The timeline for Frontier Airlines Flight 4345 moved with terrifying speed. At T-0, the aircraft begins its takeoff roll, destined for Los Angeles. It is moving fast. But just moments later, a trespasser is spotted right on the active runway. Air traffic control audio actually captured the panic. You hear them saying 45 stopping on the runway, there's someone and the individual walking on this runway. Mere seconds after that realization, there is a sudden, catastrophic impact. The plane actually strikes the individual. Relying on pure instinct, the pilot takes drastic action to forcefully abort the flight while still traveling at massive speeds. Section 2. Engine fire and smoke. The sheer panic in the rapid response in the cockpit was immediate. Just listen to the pilot's alert to air traffic control. Hit something, engine is catching fire. In just a handful of words, the pilot is communicating a massive crisis. The impact with the individual caused significant damage to the plane's engine, literally sparking a fire. You can only imagine the tension dropping in that control tower as those words came crackling through the radio. And the crisis didn't just stay outside the plane. Smoke rapidly began to fill the actual cabin of the aircraft. Video footage from the incident confirms this terrifying reality. Passengers suddenly found themselves trapped in an enclosed, smoke-filled tube sitting in the middle of a dark runway. In a matter of seconds, this escalated from a mechanical emergency to a severe threat to human life. The pilot knew right then and there, staying on that plane was absolutely no longer an option. Section 3. The rescue of 231 lives. Because look, aborting a flight is one thing, but getting hundreds of panicked people out of a burning aircraft requires absolute precision. We are talking about 224 passengers and 7 crew members. That is 231 human beings trapped inside. A delay of literally just a minute could have meant mass casualties from smoke inhalation or the fire itself. The crew had to act flawlessly to get all 231 souls out safely. So here is exactly how they executed that massive emergency procedure right there on the tarmac. Step 1. The flight is forcefully aborted, bringing this huge plane to a screeching halt. Step 2. They officially declare an emergency situation with ATC to get rescue vehicles rolling immediately. Step 3. Those inflatable emergency slides are deployed from the plane stores. And finally, Step 4, all passengers are directed to jump and evacuate safely. As you can imagine from the videos of people fleeing that smoke, it was a completely chaotic scramble. But you have to remember, an evacuation of this scale, especially under extreme stress and in the pitch black, rarely happens without some physical toll. 12 people ended up sustaining minor injuries. When you've got over 200 people sliding down steep emergency chutes onto the hard tarmac in an absolute blind panic, bumps, bruises, and sprains are pretty much inevitable. And the toll was slightly higher for some folks. 5 passengers actually required hospitalization following this high-stakes escape. Now, thankfully, the vast majority walked away with their lives, which is a massive testament to the crew's rapid deployment of those safety protocols. However, a tragedy did occur outside the plane, and the subsequent investigation is uncovering some truly alarming details. Section 4. Major questions raised about security. While the evacuation itself was a success, the event that triggered the whole thing was a massive security failure. The victim, the person who was struck and killed by the speeding plane, was not an airport employee. Initially, you might assume this was just a horrible accident involving a baggage handler taking a wrong turn, right? But the investigation quickly revealed this was a completely unauthorized individual. So the mystery deepens here. Who were they, and how on earth did they get there? Let's look at what the investigation has uncovered so far. First, as we just noted, the deceased was a civilian, not airport staff. Second, and honestly, this is the staggering part, reports indicate this individual actually breached the airport's boundary wall. Third, they somehow managed to wander all the way onto an active runway in the dead of night without ever being intercepted by security patrols. Because the severity of this is so high, multiple investigative agencies are currently deeply involved in figuring out this puzzle. Guys, this is a glaring lapse in global aviation safety. Denver International is one of the busiest, most high-profile airports in the United States. If a lone civilian can just breach the perimeter wall and casually walk out in front of a jet carrying 231 people taking off at top speed, that exposes a massive vulnerability. This isn't just a local issue. It is a major wake-up call for airport security protocols around the globe. Which leaves us with some ultimate, truly chilling questions. How exactly did he reach the runway completely unnoticed? And as some reports and investigators are actively starting to ask, could there be any sort of conspiracy or deeper motive behind this breach? Was this just a terrible accident by a trespasser or something more deliberate? Multiple agencies are working around the clock to find the truth. But until they do, the extreme fragility of our aviation security is on full display. Thank you for joining me for this explainer, and keep questioning what you see.